Presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, has expressed willingness to negotiate with agitators in the Southeast geopolitical zone to end the spate of insecurity in the region. Tinubu was in Ebonyi State for the APC presidential rally and governorship campaign flag-off. He argued that negotiation is the best way forward for people to get their demands accomplished rather than resorting to violence. Tinubu also says his administration will invest massively in education if elected president.
Educated. The best reform of our schools. They want conflict. We want peace. We will talk to all agitators. This thing is not done by conflict. Is by sitting around the table to complain.
He has done it before in Lagos. The man with Sabi. This man belongs to our constituency, the constituency of professionals, the constituency of infrastructure, the constituency of raising people. As Siwaji has never failed. Look around him, you see that he chooses the best. He goes for the best. Ebonyi State is the best.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku, has taken his campaign train to Kwara State, where he's promising to set aside $10 billion to help boost small and medium-scale enterprises to take women and youth out of poverty if elected president. Arise correspondent Mary Chinda tells us more.
The arrival of the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ifeanyi Okowa. The Ilorin International Airport is serving as a confluence point for some PDP governors and a lot of the party chieftains as they gather to officially receive the presidential candidate of the party. Now this is as the party brings its presidential campaign train to the North Central states, starting from Kwara. And then the arrival of the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. In his entourage are governors, serving and former federal lawmakers, the National Working Committee members, and members of the Board of Trustees, and many others.
The presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is a man for the moment because where the country is today, you need someone that can unite the country. You need somebody that has experience at the national level. All the other candidates have not got that experience at that national level.
And in a carnival style, Atiku, his running mate and party leaders stormed the Metropolitan Square in Ilorin, carted in a colorful motorcade amid cheers by enthusiastic supporters. The leaders explain how they intend to fix Nigeria if PDP wins the presidential election.
By the time the results come out in February, in the South we are going to win. In the Southwest, even where the APC is busting, mark my words today, we are going to defeat them hands down.
Is our economy better today? So what's the way forward, Atiku? What's the way forward? What's the way forward? Who will rescue Nigeria? Who will restore the economy of Nigeria? Who will do capacity development for the youth?
It is time for us to kick out a non-performing APC government and party. This is time now for us Nigerians, starting from here in Kwara, to kick out an incompetent government. Incompetent party, a party that does not want to unite Nigeria, a party that does not look for how to provide food and jobs to our people, a party based on propaganda. Let us go back to the days of PDP.
The presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is appealing to Kwara voters to vote exclusively for the PDP as he promises to fix infrastructure, insecurity, and generate employment for women and youth. There is also a promise to revamp SMEs.
Most of you here have no jobs. Most of you here have no businesses. We will make sure In our program, I have promised that I will set aside $10 billion to make sure that youth and women get employment. We also promise to restore the security all over this country. They came, they said they were going within 6 months, there will be no more insecurity. What did we see? We now saw insecurity all over the country.
As the PDP campaign train leaves Kwara for Ekiti and Osun State next week, the consensus among many here is that Nigeria will get better for all its citizens as they are tired of bad governance. They express this amid chants in their local dialect, meaning we are tired. Mary Chinda, Arise News.
Moving on to the next story, Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo, former governor and Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi met earlier at the cathedral in the capital, Awka. The meeting occurred during the Thanksgiving Mass for Most Reverend Paulino C. Eziokafor in celebration of his 70th birthday. Arise reports that the meeting came just before the Mass started. When Soludo stepped out of his pew to greet Peter Obi, it comes some days after Soludo's statements about his predecessor, where he stated that the Labour Party presidential candidate will not win the election. Meanwhile, a Northern Christian APC group has endorsed the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. The group has openly opposed the Muslim ticket of the governing APC. The spokesman for the group, Baba Chalawa, made a remark on Newsday on Arise News here.
But it was fake. I never did say I was backing Atiku or PDP. I never did say that. I don't know where the news came from, but it was fake news. Anytime I was ever asked a question as to where we intended to go, my answer would be, we are studying the issues, we are conversing, we are, consulting. Now, it took quite a long time before we arrived at yesterday's statement. We had spoken with most of the key political parties, the ones that appear more prominent, starting with, we've spoken with the NMPP, we had spoken with leadership of Labour Party, we had spoken with the leadership of the PDP. The only people that didn't want to talk to us were the people in the APC. They never even bothered whether we existed or not, which was in line with their character. They don't need Christians, so we didn't talk to them. Now, what were the criteria we were looking for? First of all, based on our belief that the Muslim ticket was an evil designed to sow the seeds of discord in the country, we decided that we're not going to have anything to do with that ticket. Notwithstanding some of the other political parties, there are, I think, 17 that are fielding presidential candidates in addition to APC. We felt that we should look at the potential for an all-inclusiveness of the citizens of this country, a tendency that can give us justice, a tendency that can create a level playing field for every citizen of Nigeria, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion, irrespective of culture. So with this in mind, we started evaluating the various candidates, spoke to our people and the tendencies within the Northern Christian community and indeed other non-Christian communities. After all said and done, majority of us, I must say is majority of us felt that the best platform that presents all the things we desire in the country, that Nigeria is the one platform being provided by Peter Obi and Deti. One, first of all, there is this tendency that for equity's sake, the presidency should move to the south. And if in the south, an extension of the equity requirement mandates that it should go to the southeast, which since the new democracy came on board, they've never had the chance to produce a presidential candidate.
A lot to talk about. Ayo, let's start.
A lot to talk about. I'll start off with the APC rally yesterday in Ebonyi State. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu held the rally at Pa Ngele Oruta Township Stadium in the state capital. Also marked the flag off of the party's gubernatorial campaign as well. He went to the message of progress, as he has done in other states where he's gone to flag off his campaign. He pushed on the message of no need for fighting, no violence, since his government will be an inclusive one. Instead, pushed for dialogue, which is quite important. He said he would have, he would be speaking to people to the southeast and to listen to their concerns so as to have a dialogue. Also, he promised that the southeast will become the Taiwan of Nigeria, and just speaking to his commitment to industrialization in that area. It was, by all means, if you look at the video there, good turnout, looked very successful, and indeed, a day before the before the campaign flag off on Wednesday, he was said to have gotten the title Dike Diora Mawan of Ebonyi State, which translated means hero that is loved by the people. To react to this, Ebonyi State, of course, is critical. In the southeast, it has the highest, largest number of registered voters in the southeast, with 401,510 registered voters. However, there have been concerns about the chances of the APC, despite it being an APC-controlled state in terms of the governor, Engineer David Umahi. How well will the APC fare in Ebonyi State? Now, according to a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Obidike Chukwebuka, he said that the emergence of Peter Obi is doing them a favor, as hopefully, even though they don't think that the chances of the APC is quite slim in Ebonyi State in terms of winning. They're hoping that it would divide the votes from the PDP, which has held a stronghold in Ebonyi for many years, before the emergence of David Umahi as governor. And so he's been very optimistic to saying that they would hopefully get 40% of the share votes because of this, distraction from Peter Obi emerging as a presidential candidate and, tearing aside the allegiance to the PDP in the state. And then on the other side, though, looking at their chances, the distrust of the southeast with the APC, as we've seen over time, and hence the reason why Asiwaju must have assured them that no need for violence. We are going to have a dialogue and ensure that we listen to the people, and we're looking forward to that happening. And move on to Atiku's rally, presidential rally, kick-starting a North Central rally in Kwara State. Successful as well, from all indications, as we saw on the video there. His promise to committing $10 billion to the youth and women in Nigeria. Very important, because this has been consistent in his communication, on his campaign trail. His commitment to job creation, his commitment to women empowerment. Indeed, in his policy document, he's outlined a 10-pager how he hopes to create jobs. And we've always talked about the young people in Nigeria being an untapped potential, huge resource, yet despite various interventions, unfortunately, this hasn't been we haven't seen this potential totally, optimized. And so looking at that, very great that he's reiterating that we can hold him to account. He's been very definite as to how much he's going to commit to that sector, and not forgetting that in August he appointed, just to strengthen his commitment to women, he appointed Lynn Bassi as Special Assistant on Gender Issues and Women Advancement. So he's not backing down on that. He's speaking about it again and again. On Chukwuma Soludo, His Excellency Chukwuma Soludo and Mr. Peter Obi embracing in church, I have just one word to say. Don't take Panadol for the politician's headache. He's mentioned that they might have political differences, but they don't have personal. It's not personal. So when we are on social media, in person, fighting and defending their causes, following the controversial article, we must remember that at the end of the day, in politics, there are no permanent enemies. So I'll just move on. So many things to say, but I just so that, Dr. Bati and Rufai can also give their take on these.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, let me start from where you left it off, about Governor Charles Soludo and former governor, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, meeting at an event yesterday. The narrative is that they met at that event after Charles Soludo had written a piece titled History Beckons and I Will Not Be Silent. In that piece, he had said that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party is just on a jamboree and that he doesn't stand any chance of winning the presidential election and that he knows that he will not win. That generated a lot of reaction from the Peter Obi camp. Soludo was accused of envy, of believing only in his own ideas, and of trying to rubbish Peter Obi's legacy as governor of Anambra State. Mr. Peter Obi himself responded and said, Soludo is my brother. I've been governor. He's now there. Let him do his own bit. Okay? So the two of them met yesterday at St. Patrick's Cathedral in Oka at the 70th Thanksgiving service in honor of Reverend Paulinus, Most Reverend Paulinus Eze-Okafor, who had turned 70. So Soludo, in his own narrative, when he spoke, said he went straight to Peter Obi and hugged him. And he subsequently made it clear that whatever differences may be between them is political, it's not personal, and that he considers Mr. Peter Obi his brother. But that nobody can keep him short from saying the truth, and that what he has done is to just say the truth, that he doesn't think Peter Obi can win. He also wrote off the allegations, dismissed the allegation that he was paid $28 million to attack Peter Obi. He said that was laughable. He ended by saying Peter Obi and his good self will meet within a matter of weeks to further discuss further. Mr. Peter Obi did not respond. He has said more than enough in his initial response. And I guess, well, he had to leave earlier. But it would seem that in the midst of it all, you know, the encounter between both gentlemen, and they are embracing themselves, they are hugging themselves, took the shine away from the 70th birthday celebration of Bishop Paulinus Eze-Okafor, who was the celebrant of the day. But I'm sure, you know, that the celebrant was also praised from Sunday by the governor, that's Professor Soludo, for his prudence, for the good example that he shows, for his modesty. So at the end of the day, it was a win-win for everybody, for the governor, for Mr. Peter Obi, and also for Bishop Eze-Okafor. The thing to put here, to underline, is a statement by our good brother, Dele Farotimi, who wrote a book, Do Not Die in Their War. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have seen examples of politicians, Atiku and Tinubu meeting at airports, cracking jokes, embracing each other. We have seen Soludo and Peter Obi, after all that bitter exchange, you know, embracing each other and saying we are brothers. The people who don't get this message are their followers, their surrogates, who abuse people, who make enemies, who violate the law because they want to be seen to be loyal. Okay? Some of them have even gone into making skits to ridicule each other. And that was why a wise man the other day said that perhaps all these surrogates, all these supporters, maybe they too should be made to sign a peace accord to assure us truly that this election is about sportsmanship. It's not about violence. Because at the end of the day, the political leaders, they will meet and they will understand each other and they will move on for the next election. Meanwhile, if you go and collect money and you turn yourself into a thug, you die in the process. You make enemies that you don't deserve, you will be on your own after February. You will write rubbish, some people will take you to court. You won't see anybody to come and rescue you. So everybody should borrow themselves, or the appropriate word is lend themselves, common sense. As one time senator, one former senator, used to go about saying common sense is very important in this country. It's in very short supply, and it's in very short supply among surrogates, not the political leaders as they continue to show. That's that about that. As for promises, yesterday, the presidential candidate of the APC, All Progressives Congress, was in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. He was even given a title, Dikediorama of Ebonyi State. No, one. I missed out one because Igbo titles are always one. Guru worldwide. So Tinubu is now Dikediorama, one. Guru of Ebonyi State, hero that is loved by his people. He even wore Igbo attire, different attires. Nobody should be fooled. We have seen it before. Politicians will dress up to look like you. They will make promises. He says he will create an enabling environment for business. He says he will turn the Southeast into the Taiwan of Nigeria. He says he will negotiate with agitators in the region. He will build infrastructure, roads and railways. These are the usual promises that people make. Each time they come to your neighborhood, politicians will tell you the same thing. The question is how? Because it was a rally, nobody could interrogate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If he goes to South tomorrow, he will say the same thing. So how is he going to do it? GDP growth of Nigeria, I think we say we are down to 2.25%. We have money, we have a huge debt profile. So how? And it's the same question that should be asked of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was in Kwara State. He was promising the people he will build Kanji Dam and make Kanji Dam more productive. How is he going to do it? He says he will devote 10 billion, right? Dollars, so not naira, to youth and women empowerment. Where is that money going to come from in Nigeria's budget? Is he going to borrow the money? He says the APC government has done nothing and it has failed. It has not built roads. All the roads in North Central are bad. Well, I think the appropriate person to respond to him is the Minister of Works, former Governor Babatunde Fashola. And then, of course, he talked about the Otoge. That was the main issue in 2019. He said, Osuwa, so the people were chanting Osuwa that we are tired. Okay? So that's the way politicians roll. They make promises. They do a lot of rhetoric. They don't tell you how exactly they are going to do it. And I think it's left for the APC people to come and tell us what they have done. But, it looked like a good outing for the People's Democratic Party. And it was good to see Senator Bukola Saraki, showing a lot of confidence because, that is his territory. He's the most prominent political figure from the PDP wing in that area. But the funny part for me was that, he was speaking Yoruba with an Ajebota accent. I found that very entertaining, but it's okay. Given his background as Oloye's son, he probably learned Yoruba rather late. Because each time he spoke Yoruba, I thought there was another accent in that Yoruba. But it's okay. This is how politicians roll.
So for the want of time, I think I'll just collide the three topics and just give you a general view about all of them. Two things. It is political season again, and politicians will do what they'll do. But please, Nigerian people should remember that they are the elite class, and the Nigerian people are not the elite class. The politicians will never face fuel scarcity. It is you that will face fuel scarcity. Why? Because they've got drivers and aides that will buy fuel for them on top of their long convoys. It is you that will face the hardship of a bad economy. Because probably they have access, they've got houses abroad, they've got the best things of life. And in any economy, they'll do well. They are well above the average living. It is you that will face bad healthcare. Because you know what? They have all the good access to healthcare in the world. They have all the access to good healthcare. They can fly air ambulances to go abroad for medical checkups and everything. So the part of the bargain is not belabor their fights. The question is, what is in it for you? How are they going to make your own life better? And that's what you should constantly interrogate. And if nobody's giving you a deal, know that they are not in your best interest. Because let me tell you something. It's about the interests of the politicians. That's why you see their fights are not constant. Their fights are not long-lasting. Their fights, in fact, are constant. Because once their interests align, they shift ground. So you see that they can be the APC today, they can be the PDP tomorrow, they can be in any political party tomorrow. They don't care. They keep shifting grounds as long as their interests align. In case you don't know, these presidential candidates of the APC and that of the PDP were both in the APC at a point and in the ACN at a point. That's to show you who they are. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party at some point was in the PDP. That's to show you who they are. The presidential candidate of the NMPP at some point was in the APC. And I can go on and on across the 18 political parties. So the question is, what is in it for you as a person? You will hear their promises. You will hear slogans. Sloganeering is their thing. They'll tell you that you're the best thing since sliced bread. You know, it's just like a man wooing a woman. He'll tell the woman everything in the world. But when the marriage starts, then the case is different. So courtship is very different from marriage. Remember that. Now is the courtship phase. They are courting you. But when the marriage starts after May 29 next year, and we start to hit what Mario Cuomo calls the pros of governance, and they have to deal with how they're going to remove subsidy, no money in the economy, fuel scarcity and all of that, then the story will change. So for what it's worth, write their promises down and keep ticking it. They say they will do it. If they have not done it, call them out. What's in it for you? Remember, this is the time to be selfish. Shine your eye.